I welcome you all to RKP online classes. In previous video, we discussed about introduction of the chapter, theme of the chapter, what is the significance of learning about the buildings, what is its significance. And after that, we discussed about the structures which were constructed by the king and what was the style, what type of structures were built, what type of architecture was constructed by the rulers. Now in this video, we are going to discuss about engineering skills and construction. Engineering skills and construction. The structures, about the structure of the building we discussed in previous video. Now we are going to learn what were the type of skill which were used by the rulers to construct the buildings, what type of construction was done by them. So from buildings, monuments, we come to know about the technologies used in that time period for construction. So basically, we are talking about between 7th to 10th century, the rulers who were ruling there. It means we can take at that time Hindu rulers were ruling, indigenous rulers were ruling. Yes, so they added more rooms, doors and windows in the buildings. So now we are going to discuss about a style of architecture. Okay, what was the style of architecture of constructing the buildings? So first was trabeate, second corbelled, and third is arcuate. What is the difference between all these styles? We are going to learn about this thing. First of all, trabeate. What is trabeate? Trabeate is a technique of architecture in which a beam is placed on a column. Okay, a beam is placed on a column. So this is a style of trabeate. These are the two columns and the horizontal beam is placed on it. Okay, so we can say that it is a technique of architecture in which a beam is placed on the column. And now as you see, you come to school, as you see that there are gates, there are doors of the rooms, they are built in trabeate style. Like two pillars are there, two columns are there, and upper side a horizontal beam is kept there, is placed there. Yes. So next we are discussing about corbelled. So corbelled is a style of architecture in which roofs and doors, they were made by placing horizontal beams. Now in this, the horizontal beam was placed on these columns. Okay, a horizontal beam was placed on these columns, but in this, roofs and doors, they were made by placing a horizontal beam. As you can see that there are horizontal beams which are being placed here. Okay, so this type of corbelled, this type of style, or trabeate, this type of style, they were famous they were used between 8th to 18th century. In trabeate style we can see in this style of architecture we can see the buildings now also, but corbelled type of style was increasingly used between 8th to 18th century. It means in the medieval history, at the time of medieval history period. Now we are discussing about arcuate. What is arcuate? So in this style of construction work, in this type of construction, the weight of the superstructure. What is superstructure? Suppose you are making your house, you are constructing your house, and there you will see that one floor is built, and upper side, whatever the structure you are making, upper side of that building, whether these are windows, whether they are doors, whether they are the floors, yes, so they are called superstructure. So we can say that in this style of construction, the weight of the superstructure above the doors and the windows was carried by arches. This is arch. And how is it constructed? These are the pillars and these are some stones which are upper side, they are much wider, and downside they are not that much wider, but upper side they are much wider. Yes, so that first of all these stones are kept, and after that keystone is kept between these stones. Okay, this is called keystone, that provides the support. Okay, that provide the support. Or we can say if it is fixed here, it means this building, this door, this gateway will never fall off. It will not easily fall off. So this is called keystone. Okay, and this type of arcuate is called true arch as well. True arch. This is a form of arch. This is a form of arch. Okay, and this is known as true arch as well. And in arcuate, we can say that this type of buildings, in this type of style, which buildings were constructed, they were not that much strong. How much arcuate buildings? It means how much the buildings were strong in this style of architecture. Why? What was the reason? The reason was the use of limestone cement. The limestone cement were used increasingly, and in that time period, and this style of architecture, it was used in 12th century. And this was limestone cement. This was of high quality cement which was used to provide the strength to the building. Yes. Now I am going to give you some examples of these techniques, these styles. Like if we take first example, we are discussing about engineering. So what were the styles? I am giving you example of the styles in which the buildings are made, whether these are mosques, forts and gateways. Okay, so first we are taking example of Quwwat-ul-Islam Mosque. Quwwat-ul-Islam Mosque we discussed in previous chapter as well, in chapter number 3 in Delhi Sultanate, that it was India's first mosque which was constructed by Qutbuddin Aibak. Yes, and it was based on trapezoid technique. It was based on trapezoid technique like this. Okay, like it means pillars were there, and the horizontal beam was placed on it. So it was based on the trapezoid technique, and this type of technique, this type of style, we can say it is not that much strong. This was the example of Quwwat-ul-Islam Mosque. Now we are taking the example of arcuate technique, arcuate style. There is a gateway, Alai Darwaza in Quwwat-ul-Islam Mosque which was constructed by Qutbuddin Aibak. Now you will be thinking that mosque was constructed by Qutbuddin Aibak, so it will also be constructed. No, it's not like that. This mosque was constructed by Qutbuddin Aibak, but Alai Darwaza, in this mosque, the Alai Darwaza was constructed by Alauddin Khilji. And it was based on the arcuate technique. It means this type of technique had been used at that time in Alai Darwaza, in the construction of Alai Darwaza with keystone. Okay, we discuss about right now about mosque and gateway. There is an example of Agra Fort. Agra Fort in Akbarnama. We are discussing about Akbarnama, in which we will be discussing about Agra Fort. Now, in Akbarnama was the biography written by Abul Fazl. There were 9 jewels in the court, or in Akbar's court, and Abul Fazl was one of them. Yes, so Abul Fazl, he wrote Akbar's biography, which name was Akbarnama. And in Akbarnama, a painting is given there which is showing the construction of water gate at the Agra Fort by using the cement. If they are using the cement, so we discussed that limestone cement were used in which style of architecture, that was arcuate. So yes, so that's why we come to know that Agra Fort is also built at the fort of Agra. Agra Fort is also built in which type of technique, which type of style, that is arcuate. Yes, this is correct. Right now we discuss about mosque, fort and Alai Darwaza, gateway. Now we are going to discuss about temples. As we discussed in previous video that temples were the symbols of power, king's power and their wealth. And they were just demonstrating their devotion to the god. They spent their wealth in constructing the temples because they described themselves as the incarnations of gods. Incarnation of God means they are not telling that we are God. They are telling that we are just the form of God. We are just कि हम भगवान के अवतार हैं. We are not God, but we are the incarnations of God. If we talk about the temples, so there will be different type of temples. I mean, temples will also be were also be constructed in different styles. Yes, if we talk about Khajuraho temple in Madhya Pradesh, it was a cluster of temples. It was a group of temples. It was a cluster of temples. Once there were around 80 temples in this cluster, but now only 25 have survived. Yes, and Khajuraho temples, they were decorated with the carved sculptures, idols, mean मूर्तियां carved. They were just embedded something to embedded something, उसे खोद के बनाना, उसके अंदर कुछ embedded करना, stones है कुछ, that is called carving. Yes, so they were decorated with the carved sculpture, and they were not open to all. So kings and the particular king and his allies were supposed they were allowed to go there. Now, style of temples. We are discussing about the style of architecture, the type of structure. Now, temples were also be designed. Temples were also be constructed in some style now. Yes, so there are two styles of temples which were constructed in our country by the rulers. I told you that temples were constructed by indigenous rulers of our country. So two styles were there. It means in North India and in South India, there were different styles of architecture which were being followed by the rulers for constructing the temples. So there are two styles. First is Naga style and second is Dravidian style. Okay, Naga and Dravidian style. So what is Naga style? Naga style was the style of architecture of temple which was followed, by which the temples were constructed in North India, and with the Dravidian style in South India temples were constructed. In Naga style, raised platform used to be there. It means first of all on the land raised platform was formed, and upper side and on the raised platform the temple was constructed. But in Dravidian style it was not like that. No raised platform was constructed. It was directly constructed on the land. Next point will be, what was the style of architecture by which temples were being constructed in North India? In this temples were having multiple shikhra. Multiple shikhra means so many shikhra. There could be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, there could be multiple shikhra. What is shikhra? I hope you all have watched a temple. Suppose here is a temple, and you will notice the upper side there is the peak. There is this peak. Yes, so this is called shikhar. This is called shikhar. So in this style of architecture there were multiple shikhra, whether in Dravidian style only one shikhra was there. One shikhra, or it was known as vimana, and it was twice the height of the shikhra which were constructed in North India. There were multiple shikhra, but here was only one shikhra which was known as vimana, and its height was twice than this style of temple. I told you that this was famous in this was the style by which temples were constructed in North India, and this type of temples in South India they were constructed. Then here is an example. I am giving you examples of these styles of making temples. First is Tandaria Mahadev temple. Kandari Mahadev temple, it was constructed in 999 by King Dhangadev of Chandela dynasty. Kandari Mahadev temple was constructed in 999 by King Dhangadeva of Chandela dynasty in central India in Madhya Pradesh. Okay, but Chandela dynasty was established by Nanuka, and Nanuka and Kirtivarman were some of the famous rulers of Chandela dynasty. So I am telling you just about the design of the temple which were in Nagar style. So in Nagar style, we will see, in Naga style temples were divided into three parts. So this temple started from here it went like this. It was divided into three parts, 1, 2 and 3. First, here is the gateway, so it will be gateway. Second was, this was Mahamandapa. Mahamandapa. And Mahamandapa was a part of the temple which was open to all. Songs and the dance, they were performed here. And the last is, this is Garbhagriha. Garbhagriha. Garbhagriha means where the idol, where the sculpture of main deity was kept here, and this was not open to everyone. Only and only king and his allies, they were allowed to come here for prayer. This was about Kandari Mahadev temple, which was constructed in Naga style. Okay. Now next is Dravidian style. Here is an example of Rajarajeshwar temple or Brihadeshwar temple. I have written here Brihadeshwar temple. Yes, so this was the temple which was constructed by Rajaraj I. It was constructed by Rajaraj I, but his son, Rajaraj I's son, was Rajendra I. Developmental work was carried out by him. And Brihadeshwar temple, in this multiple Shikra were there in this temple, and Brihadeshwar temple only and only one Vimana, one Shikra was there. Now you will be thinking, and this was the tallest Shikra, this was the highest Shikra of the temples in India. Now you will be thinking, if this temple, in this style of temple, these are having that much large, that much high Shikra, so how was it possible? How was it practical at that time? Because resources were not that much at that time. Yes, no cranes, etc. were there. Yes, so how was this type of construction possible at that time? So I am going to tell you. So here, suppose this is the temple and this is the Shikra. This is the Shikra. And here, with the temple, here one inclined path was laid out. Okay, one inclined path. Inclined means thoda sa jhuka hona. It means there should be some steepiness. Okay, or the length of this inclined path was 4 km. Why 4 km? If its length was less than 4 km, then you can see that the steepiness would be too much. Yes, so that's why it was made practically accessible कि इतना दूर तक इसे ले जाएं कि उस पे चढ़ने में, उस पे बोर्ड करने में किसी भी टाइप की प्रॉब्लम ना हो. Okay, that's why 4 kilometer inclined path was laid out there. Okay, and how we have come to know about this? There was a village, Charupalam. There was a village, Charupalam. There was an inclined path of 4 km which was laid out to construct the Shikra. Okay, and it was not easily possible to keep this 90-ton Shikra or 90-ton stone in the Shikra of this temple. That's why inclined path was constructed by the rulers. Okay. Now there was a village which was 4 km away from this temple, which name is Charupalam. Charupalam, and it was called the village of incline. The village of incline, because the inclined path was started from that village only. So I hope this thing is clear to you all. I have told you about the style of architecture and the style of temples in which the temples were constructed by the rulers. I hope this video is clear to you all. I hope this topic is clear to you all. If you have listened to the video carefully, then this topic is very easy to understand. So you are to, I'm giving you some questions, you are to write their answers in a classwork notebook. And don't cheat, don't watch this video again after this. You have to just check out how much you have learned from this video. So what is the difference between the styles of architecture? What is the difference between the styles of architecture? And Second is, write a few lines about Kandaria Mahadev temple. Write a few lines about Kandaria Mahadev temple. Third is, write the difference between the styles of temples which were constructed in medieval history in that time period. So these are 3 questions. You have to write their answer in your classwork notebook. I hope this topic is clear to you all. See you in next video.